Episode 22 of Utah in the Weeds. This is going to be an exciting episode. We got Jack on this episode. He is a patient. He's a younger patient, so we're going to get into that.
Yeah,
and I don't want to give too much here, but I want to do a little bit of cannabis news up top. Usually we'll do them at the end of the podcast, but I kind of want to switch it up just to kind of shake it up a little bit. I think it's a good idea
because you have a big announcement.
Well, this is a big announcement because it caught me off guard. I saw it in one of the Facebook groups just yesterday posting about the Provo pharmacy. Deseret Wellness is opening up on Friday, the 21st.
Yeah, so by the time you listen to this, it'll be open. And
I don't know the address or any of the website information. I should have had that prepared to mention on here. But just do a search for them like on Instagram or Google them, and I'm sure the address will be right there.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I wanted to add to this announcement of the pharmacy opening that if you have a letter, if you're a brand new patient and you haven't been anywhere, you can go down to Deseret Wellness and register your letter at that pharmacy. But if you have a letter and you've registered it already with Dragonfly or with Perfect Earth, and you don't have a Department of Health Medical Cannabis card, you need to convert your letter to a card before you go to Deseret Wellness. I know Wholesome up in Bountiful has been trying to get people help converting some letters to cards so you can access more than one pharmacy. But it's a pretty big. Actually, we talked to the legislature, we talked to the Department of Health, and we think there are many thousands of letters that need to get converted to a card. So you can go to utahmarijuana.org. As a matter of fact, we have a letter to card program that we're launching towards the end of the week, the beginning of next week, a letter to card conversion program at utahmarijuana.org. Basically, we will help any patient in the state navigate the process for that conversion, and we'll reach out to your QMP actually and educate them and help them get you through the system if you're a patient. There'll be more about that in the next episode. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
And it's interesting you brought that up because this is a perfect segue to bring Jack into this because so Jack has a letter, but he doesn't have a card.
Jack is in even a more interesting spot. Because how old are you, Jack?
I'm 19.
Yeah.
So Jack's 19. So you can't get a card. Right?
No, unless you go
to the process.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what you know. Okay, Jack, let's back up.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm 19. I'm from Salt Lake City, and I use cannabis for mostly back pain. And in the morning, also, I'll have like nausea too that it helps me get over and like get the day started and everything.
You got your medical card in California, correct?
Yes.
Like how long ago was this? Like let's even back up. When did you first get introduced to cannabis? Like how old were you? How long ago was this?
I've always been into it. Like being in California, it's always been there. You know, you'd go around like walking around, you could smell it everywhere.
Sure.
Like just being from the Bay, and like I've seen like these videos on Facebook and everything of like these kids having seizures or whatever, and they're giving cannabis to help them. And it like stops within minutes or whatever. And like that really interested me to get into it and everything and like realize the medical side of it.
How old were you approximately at that time? Did you?
I was about 17, about to turn 18 when I saw those videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then when did you move here?
I moved here when I was like 17, almost 18. Yeah.
And in California, what are the rules? Like, how was it to get your card in California?
In California, it's pretty crazy because you don't have to go to like a QMP or whatever. You can do everything online.
Sure.
And like you can show them like your qualifying condition, you know, and they'll qualify it online.
They're just a lot more relaxed there.
Yeah.
Right. The rules are pretty relaxed. And then you just register to get your card there. So tell us a little bit about the process that you've gone through so far in Utah.
So in Utah, I've gone through the process of seeing a QMP and getting just my letter. And I haven't got like my full actual card yet because I have to go through the process of the Compassionate Use Board. And those are difficult.
Has your QMP talked to you at all about the Compassionate Use
They have
Board
not, but
or any of that?
I will talk to them about that.
So from a standpoint of, and I know a little bit about this, and we can talk about this too. As far as your condition and your history, the Compassionate Use Board here, so that the listeners know, it's 7 physicians that have been picked in different ways. Some of them have been, it's my understanding that some of them are advocates and very helpful and very pro-cannabis, and there's some that are not, pretty strict. So because you're 19, the Utah law only allows people that are 21 and older to just go straight to get a card, but anybody under that has to get the Compassionate Use Board. So
do you know why they made it 21 in like other states, again, like California, are at 18 for medical? Why didn't they push for more 18 here in Utah?
That's a good question. It brings up I only can speak to what I know from the research with 18 to 21-year-olds and why I would argue one way or the other. I don't know what the legislature was thinking at the time or like the medical association, but I know, the frontal lobe isn't developed until we're 21, 25, 27 years old. The brain is still developing, and we know, well, there has been some research on heavy cannabis use in teenagers and how that can lead to what they call problem cannabis use, which is a diagnosis in the diagnosis manual.
Wait, there's a real diagnosis called
problem cannabis use.
Wow.
And so there's right.
I learned something new.
I mean, there's going to be people who believe that does not a thing, right? Cannabis use being a problem, but that comes from people using so much that it becomes a problem, right? That they have withdrawal symptoms, physical and mental withdrawal symptoms. So between 18 and 21, you're still in that. We don't know enough about the brain development to want to recommend it, to just say everybody 18 and older can have it.
I can go down so many. I can go down so many rabbit holes here, Tim. I don't want to even get into like political stuff here. Like,
see, but then maybe you should.
Well, no, I mean, that's the whole point. Okay. I mean, I was going to say, you could go serve your country, right? You can go sign up to war. You can go to war.
Yeah, you can go to war and die. But you can't smoke. You can't smoke.
No, it is pretty sad. I mean, when you found out, like when you went to your QMP, did you know that you wouldn't? Like that it was 21 and over, or did they have to tell you that when you went in for
I knew that it was 21 and over, and then I had to go in front of the Compassionate Use Board and everything. And I was like willing to do that.
But you just haven't done it yet.
I just haven't done it yet. I don't really like know the process too well.
Okay.
So I have to get more educated on that.
Okay.
Okay, got it. So tell us a little bit about your back pain. Like what's the dosing structure? Like what makes you feel better?
So I wake up in the mornings and I'll feel like pretty nauseous and everything. And this started like years ago, like when my back pain started happening too. So I went to the orthopedic doctor and they took an x-ray and everything. And they said I have like 17 or 18% scoliosis in my back. So that's what's causing the back pain and everything. So after work and every day, it just hurts pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And
will they let you into the pharmacies to purchase flour?
Yeah, I've been to Perfect Earth. That's where I'm registered.
So you've been to Perfect Earth, and you're able to, with the letter, go in and purchase product. Because you bring up an interesting point about the letter and the cards.
Yeah.
Right? Because for a card, I know because we have 6 patients that are under 21 or have conditions that are not allowed. We have 6 patients that are going to the Compassionate Use Board this month. And we've been preparing those applications and the petitions over the past couple of weeks, the providers.
Now you do that, not the patient then, huh?
Correct. So and we can talk about this now. Like the Compassionate Use Board requires us to fill out a petition for you. And you provide more documentation and more of the background, right? So our process is we have a form the patient fills out, right? You can hand us your medical records, which you have, right? You've got the x-ray and probably the note from maybe your orthopedic doc who talked about the scoliosis. And then we put that in the state system. And then the QMP writes a little note that says, hey, we think cannabis is reasonable in this patient because, I mean, would anybody want to put Jack on opioids, right? Like that doesn't seem
not at this age.
Yeah, not at this age.
Right. So, okay. Now, Jack, you brought up an interesting point. I can't give you cannabis, but I could write you a prescription for Percocet being 19.
I would never.
So what do you think about that? Like, that goes back to our point about 18. Like, I can write any prescription for Percocet to any age, but I can't write your recommendation straight off the bat for cannabis.
So you could write Percocet to a 12-year-old.
Essentially, I mean, granted, technically, yeah. I mean, and we do after surgery. You know, kids need strong medicine too. But
just for the
mom and dad have to go fill it.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, you're 19. You're an adult. You can go fill your own prescriptions, and so we would write you for Percocet. So I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. That's just the way
it's what
is.
it is. Yeah,
it is what it is.
Now, what do your parents think of this, man? Like, let's talk. We haven't really gotten your parents involved in all this because I know it took a while to talk my mom into it, right? Like, and I don't know what your parents are like.
I mean,
Tim,
I grew up. Yeah, I mean, I love my mom, and I think she'd be okay with me.
Okay.
Saying she's a patient. We'll double check.
But at 19 years old.
When I was 19, my mom would have kicked my ass.
Exactly. So, okay. so tell me how your parents' relationship and when they found out with cannabis, if you want to share a little bit about that.
So it was in high school, and my dad, he was from California, and he's always been into it as well. And he's had his California medical card.
Okay.
So, basically he took me out to eat and he told me like, it's okay. Like, it's not like, he told me basically it's not gonna kill you, and like no one's ever like died from it, like it's not something that bad, so he's okay with it. But it was more of talking my mom into it, and she was pretty hard to talk into it still to this day, but she's realizing more and more. Like, I keep sending her videos about it and like talking to her about it once in a while.
Is she in California too?
No, they're both here now.
Oh, they're both here in Utah. Mm-hmm. And even though in California, gosh, because it would seem like everybody I talk to in California, it's almost like they're so used to it. It's almost like a tobacco cigarette.
Right, 24 years in our future.
So right, it's interesting the fact that your mom was still from California, but she was still having a hard time.
Oh, she's actually from here.
Oh, she's from here, but she lived in California. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and your parents are going to actually end up getting involved in this process too, because anybody under 21 has to have a guardian card.
Yeah.
So your parents have to, the parent or guardian has to apply, do a background check, and be issued a card in order for anybody under 21 to get their card.
Because then technically, would they be the ones who are going to the pharmacy to pick up the medicine?
Yeah, I think they may need to. That I can't answer.
From what I've heard is that after once 2021 starts, I've heard that if you have a minor with the card, their patient or their parent still has to go in for them.
Okay, got it. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
Because I was hoping to even learn a few things myself, because I have a friend of a friend that has a younger child that they were thinking of, okay, this would be good. And that's kind of what I was hoping, maybe even, through some of these episodes, maybe tonight, maybe another time, I can go back with some information for them, because a lot of people don't even know where to start, right? And
as far as the kid, like, is anybody under 21?
Well, under 21, but then not even only that, but under 18. Because the moment,
so we've done this too. We've done some under 18s through the Compassionate Use Board. That's a different animal, though. Like, I mean, now you're dealing with the QMP, whether the QMP is comfortable with that.
Because under 18 again, you could.
Under 18 is pretty significant.
Have a lot of serious things.
We just don't study. It's the same thing with pregnancy, right? You don't want to get a bunch of pregnant women together and say, hey, we want to give you, some of you cannabis and some of you a placebo and see what happens to the baby. That nobody's going to want to be in that study. And the same with kids. We don't want to study teenagers who use cannabis, because if it does cause harm in high doses or whatever it does, we don't want to be a part of that in medicine. So I definitely think there are side effects from prescription medications that are worse than the side effects and potential risks of cannabis. That I would say. So that's why we support certain people, certain patients helping them get through the compassionate use board. Seizures, especially with and there's a lot of pain, cancer pain and nausea.
Who would you go to for the compassionate use board then? Like for listeners, since we're talking about that, like who would they contact? Their QMP?
Yeah, basically your QMP. So if you're under 21 and you have a letter, then you need to contact your QMP, or you can contact us, but you contact your QMP and you start that process, because the QMP has to do a petition.
So they'll know how to do it. They'll know how to do it then.
Oh, that's no guarantee.
No.
Right? Like, I mean, I don't know who your QMP is, Jack, but do you feel like QMPs in general, and you don't necessarily have to say anything bad about your QMP either, but do you feel like QMPs understand the process?
To be honest, not all of them. Yeah. Because I'll give an example. Like when I went to get mine, I'll just say I went to Empathetix, and the QMP came out and he was with another patient, and he walked out and he was talking to the front desk people, and he was asking them about like the laws about smoking in public and everything. And I could have answered that question real quick, but he didn't really know it. And then like he even asked me about like my age and everything, and he didn't really understand about like the compassionate use board or whatever either.
Got it.
So
that's frustrating, man, that like these people are going to QMPs, paying top dollar to go see them, and then they don't even know the answers.
Right. This is going to be a crazy episode, because like there's so much going on here. Jack, you're bringing up a lot of parts of the program that I think we should talk about, and that should probably be out in the open. And one of them is the under 21. I think your condition is totally legit, and I'm not disagreeing with the QMP's decision to issue you a letter. But I think what I hear honestly is there's a lack of understanding with QMPs in the state, which we're trying to get that under control a little better.
Yeah.
At least I am in a big way, and Chris too, through this podcast. I think that Perfect Earth has, having you go in there with a letter and not a card, I think that's I don't know how that is. I don't know whether that's allowed, to be honest, because when we get to January, we know it's not allowed.
Yeah.
You're going to have that guardian. And you talk about another big clinic operation, Empathetix. Now, Empathetix is just kind of partnered with UtahMarijuana.org to provide all of their QMPs that education that they were missing maybe before, and all of this customer service, like patient education.
Yeah.
So somebody like you can come to us essentially, right? Which you're probably going to, and we're going to help you navigate that process. So I'm actually really glad you're on, and I'm glad I really am glad we're talking about this, because
so are you working with how do you say Empathetix? Is that
Empathetix? Yeah. So Empathetix sees a lot of patients. They have a lot of clinics around, and Shane Erickson, and I have known him since the program started, and he's been very involved. He's really involved in the addictions part of the cannabis space, and helping people with PTSD a lot. And they see so many people, they were having a little bit of trouble getting their patients through the EVS system. There was a lot of hiccup with that. The 90-day renewals are coming up, and, they want to provide for their patients what we provide at UtahMarijuana.org and basically that's just, I'm plugging myself on this episode a lot, but the program that Katie has developed, with us is really going to help thousands of people. And so Empathetix really wanted to be a part of that. And we wanted to help all of their patients. So we've partnered up in that respect, right?
So it's good. That's a good thing then.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's a good thing for people like Jack.
And that's why you said to even Jack, you're like, well, you're probably going to be coming over and having us help you anyways with the EVS
because,
system.
I know of the situation, and I already know that we have a few patients that are in that pathway now because we're involved. So I think that that's going to be a good deal.
Nice. Can't wait.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, okay, back to your point about the under 18.
Yeah, okay.
So under 18 is a little different. They still have the same process as Jack does, with the compassionate use board, but I would say medically, you've really got to know that you want to use THC in somebody under 18, right? Like you need to know what you're doing. You can't just take your kids anywhere when you talk about that. You know, I would say if you want to talk about cannabis and you have somebody under 18, then you need to be seeing somebody like Dr. Andon in Ogden. You need to be seeing somebody like Ryan Creek, who works with us, Sierra Burt, who works with us. You know, somebody who really understands the dosing and the compassionate use board, can gather up the records, can talk to the primary care providers, because that's going to be a big team effort for somebody who's under 18, in my opinion.
Does the QMP go with the patient to the compassionate use board, or does the patient go by themselves?
No, so everything is by paper. You just fill out the forms and do all the records and then submit your argument. And we don't know what those
I visualize like a courtroom setting or something.
Like you got to go to court.
Jack, that's what I thought of at first too.
Yeah. Like I'm visualizing.
Stand in front of the compassionate use board.
All right, Jack. Make sure you wear your best tie, buddy. You know what I mean? It's a big day.
So, Jack, how do you consume mostly? Mostly smoking?
Yeah.
And not smoking now, vaping flower, right? You were having to buy it on the black market until now.
Until now, yeah.
Do you feel like there's other methods that are better or worse, or do you feel like you've tried different things and you've kind of focused on what works?
I've pretty much focused on concentrates and like vaping concentrates and everything.
Okay.
But like not in the cart form.
Explain a little bit about concentrates to the listeners of the podcast, because concentrates is like it's a big silo, a big group of products, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got to remember, some people don't even know how to just light a pipe, you know,
right?
or load a bong, or use a grinder.
We say flower, we mean like weed, bud, marijuana, you know.
So concentrates is made from bud. Like live resin can be made from frozen. You take the fresh plant and then you freeze it, and then you press it, and then it creates live resin, which compresses into like it's pretty much a light colored oil. It's kind of like a butter color, and then you either vape that, and then
What would be the reason? Just higher THC?
Yeah, it's higher THC normally. Like the flower usually comes in 20%, and then the concentrates are anywhere from like 60, 70, almost 80% sometimes.
But you got to make your own though.
No, there's people that do it like at the dispensaries. I know Wholesome has some.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Wholesome had some hash resin.
That's right.
That was some concentrates.
See, and I've never used it. I've never used any of that stuff before.
You know, primarily it seems like you build up a little bit of a tolerance to some flower and the coughing and the plant material. People don't like that, so they move to the resins and the waxes and shatters and stuff. But there's a lot less smell to it, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot less.
So you don't cough with a resin then either?
No, I think that the plant material, there's less plant material, so it's not as irritating to the lungs.
Yeah, it's more clean.
Now, isn't coughing kind of a good thing, though? Because it opens up your lungs and kind of opens it up?
Yeah, I think, and if you're smoking flower, then coughing is probably helpful.
Yeah.
But I just think, people just don't like it.
Sure.
And I think people don't like the smell. Some people don't like the smell, and they like that.
Oh, I love the smell.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Same.
Yeah. No, I think it's the best thing ever. I know it's potent, and I mean, you don't want your neighbors to smell it, and you don't want everyone coming to your house to smell it. If you like the smell,
then no big deal.
Well,
right? Like, I mean, some of them. What was the other day? I smelled something that smelled like lemon armpit. You know, But then that's a pretty decent. It was a decent smell for cannabis. So Jack, do you have favorite? You still use flower though, because it's probably hard to come by enough concentrates
for sure
legally, especially right in Utah where Wholesome was the only people that had it. Flower wise, do you tend to use indica or sativa more? Do you find that some things make you more relaxed?
Mostly I'll use indica because of the pain and everything, and then sometimes like to get up or like get a little more motivation or whatever, like to get through the day or the pain, I'll use a little sativa if I have some. But my favorite right now is definitely Ultimate Hash from Perfect Earth.
The Ultimate Hash of the flower.
Yeah, the flower.
Yeah. Do you have a dry herb vaporizer?
Oh, I do. I have a PAX 3.
Have you tried other types?
Other types
of dry herb vaporizers?
I have not really.
Did you try the packs? Like, did you have to get it when you were here?
Yeah, I got it here.
Because you were primarily just smoking in California when you got here. Okay, that kind of makes sense. With other patients that you know, other people who use cannabis, what's the smoking, like what's the word on smoking? Does everybody just hate that? Hate that you can't legally use a flame?
A lot of people don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people do hate it. I see a lot of people still using an open flame, and a lot of people like actually vaporizing it.
Yeah.
And I don't think this matters at all, but do you prefer vaporizing the flower or smoking the flower?
I prefer smoking, but I know vaporizing has its like benefits and everything. It's cleaner.
Yeah, it's cleaner. I mean, it'll keep you from getting, I think, lung damage.
And I would have said the same thing until I got a volcano. But using a volcano is like an amazing way to.
That's
vaporize.
like a big commitment, though.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, in cost for sure.
Yeah.
But that's a huge turkey bag full of vape.
No, it's that question, because
the smoking versus vaporizing.
I would much rather like get a bong or something like that and use a flame and.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody.
Like if we're being honest, right?
I think that we should be. I mean, there's something to a bong. There's something different to a joint. There's something different to a glass pipe. Right. You can go down the line, right? From a tin can to an apple core to a corn cob pipe.
And people have been doing it that way for so long. It's like someone comes in and stops them. What are they going to do?
Right. So, it doesn't make sense probably for a lot of people to switch over to something. When we say vape, everybody just assumes, oh no, vaping's bad.
Mm-hmm. It was probably like a week or. Are you in any of the Facebook groups?
I'm not. I actually don't even have Facebook.
Oh, you smart guy. So I forgot which Facebook group it was. It was one of the Utah ones, but somebody posted a picture like they found a can that somebody smoked in. Like how they kind of dented it down, poked a little hole. And it's just funny the amount of people that are like, what? I've never done that. Right. It's like that was the way you did it back in the day. That with an apple or a tin can or a hot dog or
anything anything you can find.
Exactly. So
it'll all work.
So what would you tell somebody, Jack, who might be listening to this because they haven't tried cannabis yet as a medicine, as somebody who's using it currently to help pain?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice or suggestions? Maybe they're a little scared or they're unsure yet. What would you tell them?
I would mainly say it's definitely better than taking opiates in the long run, and that you really can't overdose on it. If you do happen to take or like smoke or vaporize whatever too much, I believe that, it's a plant. It was put here on earth for a reason. It's not here to harm you, really.
Anything else you want to ask Jack? Why we got him here today, or
no?
Anything?
Thanks, Jack. For coming down. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
It's been it's always good to learn different stories and different takes on things, because some of us don't realize. I genuinely feel bad for you, man, that you're kind of held back just because of your age. It's kind of stupid if you ask me, but
I think that people will learn a lot about where the program's at with this episode, like some of what patients have to deal with, to get through the system altogether. And I think that's important. It's an important piece of this puzzle to talk to people like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to go, Chris.
How's everything going with Utah Therapeutic, Tim? Why we get this wrapped up kind of.
Sheesh. We're really busy, but that's okay. We see people every day. We have open appointments every day. We've got, we open in Ogden on the 1st of September. We're already in Kaysville at Wellness Underground for clinic space. We're here. UtahMarijuana.org has got this letter to card thing coming. Utah in the Weeds. We're going to do more education starting in the next couple of weeks.
I love it. Yeah.
If there's
getting stickers out there, magnets out there, man.
Stickers and magnets.
Get some T-shirts hopefully soon.
We're an official company, Utah in the Weeds.
We should get some Utah in the Weeds shirts for back to school. With kids going. Can you imagine? Show up.
I try to get my kids to put the stickers on their water bottles, and they're like, "Dad, I don't want to get kicked out of school."
Did you really? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's what my daughter said. Yeah, she can't.
Yeah.
It's just, and I don't know. I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah. No, it's, and then you can find all my podcast stuff. IamSaltLake.com is my other podcast I do. IamSaltLake.com. There's almost 450 episodes. The 28th, you want to hear something cool, Tim?
Yes. August
28th, 2012, I posted the first episode of I Am Salt Lake. So I've been podcasting for 8 years now.
And you are dang near, and you're going to hit 500 episodes in the next few months.
Yeah. On I Am Salt Lake. Yeah.
You're at 450 now?
450. And then we've done 22 of this. I've probably done 200 of other podcasts I've done. I've done a few podcasts in my day, but anyway, let's let Jack get out of here. We're here every week. Make sure to subscribe in whatever podcast player you're listening to this in. Leave us a review in Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you think of the show. That's a great way to keep in touch with us. What's a good email for you, Tim?
Email for me can be tim@utahmarijuana.org.
Okay. And then Chris at IamSaltLake.com. I need to set up Utah in the Weeds email address. This is what I need to do.
We can do it.
But let's get in touch if you want to come on the show. If you want to come on the show like Jack did as a patient, or if you have a pharmacy, or if you're a bud tender, or a pharmacist at a local dispensary, or any involvement. I know there's going to be some delivery services soon. I'd like to get some of them on the podcast.
The home delivery and
all kinds of stuff here in the local Utah cannabis market. So
perfect.
Anything else you want to add, Jack?
No, it was good to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Stay safe out there.
Awesome.